Thank you for watching or listening to this free podcast of the Young Turks. We want to make sure that you get some portion of the show every day, but if you want the full show, which is actually 5 segments, come become a member and support independent media as well. tytnetwork.com/join. Meanwhile, enjoy the free podcast. All right, back on the Young Turks, Cenk, Anna, and JR. JR's got your comments. He's representing you guys, the real Americans.
Just what I do.
Okay, all right.
I am Sock says, we can't have all these foreign criminals come across the border. To combat this, we will take their children from them and give them to our criminals.
Unfortunately, I hate to laugh, but that's an excellent point of our hypocrisy.
Yeah, and I am Sock apparently was able to get you to read his tweets, but wasn't able to get me to read them. Thank you for the check. Secondly, Eric Rafford said, how many people wish they could get away with murder by just changing their name? Corporations are not people.
Of course, Blackwater, after killing 17 people in a square in the middle of Iraq, just changed their name to Z and then Academy or whatever the hell they changed it to. They're like, it's fine, it's fine. No, that was the old company with the same exact people.
It's like ecstasy pills. We'll just rebrand it Molly and no one will know the difference.
Right, and everybody will go look, trying to find it.
Yeah.
Lastly, you got to get challenged every once in a while, Cenk. From Dionysus. Marcus Aurelius was a dictator, wasn't he, Cenk? Especially after the Greek democracy and the Roman Republic before Caesar. I have no idea.
Okay, just calm down with that dictator talk, okay? He was a very wise man and very benevolent, okay? We'll talk about it in the postgame. Come join us there. I'll tell you why I like him a lot and how he's related to my family. Not actually physically related. Anyways, in order to become a member, tyt.com/join or get the app. Okay, tyt.com/app or just type in TYT in the App Store. Super easy way to watch the Young Turks. All right, what's next, Anna?
All right. ABC has canceled Roseanne Barr's show, Roseanne, following a series of unhinged tweets that she shared with the world today. But this is nothing new. She has a history of unhinged tweets where she attacks people in a questionable way and also shares conspiracy theories. But let's talk about what got her fired today. So apparently she was responding to a thread having to do with the Obama administration and the CIA under the Obama administration. And in that thread, someone had mentioned Valerie Jarrett, who was one of Obama's longest serving advisors. And here's what Roseanne Barr had to say about Valerie Jarrett. Muslim Brotherhood and Planet of the Apes had a baby equals VJ, meaning Valerie Jarrett. So when I'd first seen that tweet, this is a little bit of inside baseball, I thought she was talking about Van Jones, because I'm like, where did that come from and what's VJ, right? So I'm like, because is it Van Jones?
It could have been anyone because Valerie Jarrett was not mentioned in the article. So it's kind of out of thin blue air, right?
Exactly. So just to give you more context in regard to what sparked that random tweet, she had brought up Jarrett in response to an unrelated Twitter comment on an article which asserted that the Obama CIA had spied on the president of France. Jarrett's name is unmentioned in that piece, in that article that was shared, okay? So I didn't know this, but apparently during the Obama administration, there were all sorts of crazy conspiracy theories about Valerie Jarrett. During the Obama administration's rumors swirled on right-wing blogs that she secretly intended to promote Islam in the United States and that she once expressed her desire to make America a more Islamic country. So I was curious where those rumors started, and apparently it was a tabloid paper in the UK. And then all of these right-wing blogs would cite that tabloid paper as the source. But no one ever really questioned whether that source was legitimate in the first place.
Yeah, of course, Breitbart did and InfoWars did. That's why when the right-wing media is taken seriously, I find it hilarious. I mean, who looks at that? Valerie Jarrett's not Muslim. Who thinks like Valerie Jarrett decided randomly that she wanted to make America more Islamic? I'm not going to check on that. I'm just going to print it. That makes sense. That's just very logical. And by the way, you right-wingers, even if you thought those insane things, when do we get our apology? Because it turns out you were wrong. Valerie Jarrett
never
did not make the country more Islamic.
But it's
right?
not like they're look, they won't apologize because they don't play the same way we play. They're not looking to play fair. They're looking to smear, they're looking to defame, they're looking to spread their propaganda, and they're very effective at it. And I don't know what we're supposed to do in response to that, because I don't want to stoop to their disgusting level. But at the same time, how do you continuously have this logical discussion about politics and policy when the other side is spreading crazy, malicious rumors like this?
Yeah, well, part of it, that's why I get frustrated at the so-called mainstream media, because they just call everything 50-50. And so, no, don't get me wrong. So Roseanne does Pizzagate conspiracy theories, and she just did one again.
She thinks that the Parkland survivors are all crisis actors.
So look, the mainstream media does call that out. They don't call that 50-50, right? But then they'll go back to considering Breitbart legitimate. They'll consider a lot of these Daily Caller, Daily Wire, these conservative publications that are proven over and over again not to state the truth, to purposely put propaganda out, etc. But they go, I don't know, maybe they're telling the truth. I mean, they'll quote insane alt-right guys. They'll use them as sources, right? And they go, no, I can't discriminate. No, you can if it's based on logic, not discriminate based on race or ethnicity or any non-rational factor. But if someone has shown over and over again that they're not attached to reality or the truth, then you should be a little bit skeptical when they come to you with a scoop or a story, etc. So they're going to do what they're going to do, but the rest of the media should not enable them.
That's right. Don't treat them as if they're, rational actors who are a legitimate part of a debate. Now let's talk about the fallout, because there was a lot of fallout prior to the Roseanne show getting canceled. So first off, Roseanne Barr got a lot of criticism and backlash on Twitter, which led to her apology. She said, I apologize, I'm now leaving Twitter. She also had tweeted, I apologize to Valerie Jarrett and to all Americans. I'm truly sorry for making a bad joke about her politics and her looks. I should have known better. Forgive me, my joke was in bad taste.
And can I just say, look, I'm going to give her a very slight defense of her in a second, but I don't believe that apology for 1 second. That was, hey, Roseanne, you're about to lose your show and millions upon millions of dollars. Valerie Jarrett, who I've been spreading insane rumors about. Sorry, so my bad. I didn't mean it. I didn't know it was going to cost me money. When I was just smearing you, I enjoyed that. When it turns out it's going to cost me something, I did not enjoy that. I am now leaving Twitter.
No, you're absolutely right about that, Cenk, because just a few hours prior to her attacking Valerie Jarrett, she was attacking Chelsea Clinton. So I'll give you an example of that. One of her tweets said, Chelsea Soros Clinton. Again, another crazy right-wing conspiracy theory involving George Soros, because he's this, in their mind, evil doer that every liberal is connected to. They think George Soros funds our show, which would be lovely. I mean, we are always open and willing to take that money if he wants to, but he hasn't yet.
And they'll take that. We're kidding around, right? And then they'll take that. They'll be like, they're asking for Soros for money on air. Can you believe what they're doing? Okay.
Cry me a river. And then she also said the following. So there was a little bit of backlash to the Chelsea Clinton tweet, and she said this in response to that backlash. Sorry to have tweeted incorrect info about you. Please forgive me. By the way, George Soros is a Nazi who turned in his fellow Jews to be murdered in German concentration camps and stole their wealth. Were you aware of that? But we all make mistakes, right, Chelsea? Again, another right-wing conspiracy theory. She was not really apologetic there.
So a couple of things about that one. So number one, so Roseanne Barr has literally lost her mind, and that's my defense of her. I'll get to that in a second. But about that tweet, first of all, she says, Chelsea Clinton, sorry I made a mistake. You're not actually married to a Soros, but we all make mistakes, like Soros made the mistake of supporting Nazis. Oy. Why are you still going after Chelsea Clinton if you acknowledge she has nothing to do with Soros? Okay, second of all, Soros didn't do any of that. He didn't do that. And it's a terribly anti-Semitic attack on Soros, who's Jewish and suffered through the Holocaust. Okay, I can't imagine anything worse. But Roseanne Barr has called everybody Nazis. She had attacked people going to Israel, calling it an apartheid state, which other people do, right? Mm-hmm. But then called Jewish people Nazis. Now, Roseanne Barr grew up Jewish. And then she turned around, a dramatic turnaround, and now calls Palestinians and anyone supporting them Nazis.
Right.
Right?
We need to talk about a relatively new show called the Republic, or UNFTR. As a Young Turks fan, you already know that the government, the media, and corporations are constantly peddling lies that serve the interests of the rich and powerful. But now there's a podcast dedicated to unraveling those lies, debunking the conventional wisdom. In each episode of On the Republic, or UNFTR, the host delves into a different historical episode or topic that's generally misunderstood or purposely obfuscated by the so-called powers that be, featuring in-depth research, razor-sharp commentary, and just the right amount of vulgarity. The UNFTR podcast takes a sledgehammer to what you thought you knew about some of the nation's most sacred historical cows. But don't just take my word for it. The New York Times described UNFTR as consistently compelling and educational, aiming to challenge conventional wisdom and upend the historical narratives that were taught in school. For as the great philosopher Yoda once put it, you must unlearn what you have learned. And that's true whether you're in Jedi training or you're uprooting and exposing all the propaganda and disinformation you've been fed over the course of your lifetime. So search for UNFTR in your podcast app today and get ready to get informed, angered, and entertained all at the same time.
What?
In
Make up your mind, right?
In 2012, she ran for president of the United States. As a third-party candidate, she identified as the candidate for the Green Party. She went on our show, which at that time was on Current TV, and I remember her coming in, and she presented herself as someone who was so radically leftist that, you know, the Democrats are not liberal enough. We need someone who's even more, progressive. I'm the Green Party candidate, vote for me. It's just the yo-yoing that's going on with her political identity is terrifying and fascinating at the same time.
No, so that gets to two more points. So I do know why this was the camel that broke the straws. That's hilarious slip up. The straw that broke the camel's back. It's because she actually attacked someone powerful. Now, look, to be fair, she's done that a little bit in the past too, okay? And maybe people just had enough, or maybe Bob Iger really, really likes Valerie Jarrett and she's even more powerful than the rest. And she is, okay? And Valerie Jarrett, and I got no love for her, and I don't agree with a lot of what she's done. I perceived a snub from her once, which was amusing. I told it in a postgame. Anyway, not a big deal. But why didn't Roseanne's show get canceled for calling Palestinians Nazis? Or did you know that when she was the extreme left, she had done some insane thing. I don't know if this is extreme left or right. I can't even tell anymore. She had dressed up as Hitler and baked cookies of people going into ovens and burning. Oh my God, Jesus. If that doesn't get your show canceled, like why is this the thing that... And this is not the first time she's made racist comments about people in the Obama administration. Susan Rice, she had said, this is graphic 37, Susan Rice is a man with big swinging ape testicles, in essence.
You can say balls. She said balls, ape balls.
Okay. What? Is this a picture of Susan Rice, perfectly pleasant person who worked in the Obama administration, graphic 38, and you can agree, disagree, but what in God's green earth are you talking about? You can agree or disagree with her policies, but so why is Roseanne saying this crazy stuff? Which leads me to my point, which is she's mentally unbalanced, like almost clearly so. And in fact, so I went and did a little bit of research on important fact-checking organizations like Wikipedia. And
they actually do a lot of fact-checking, to be fair to Wikipedia.
They do. No, first I read articles about how some people think that she took too much drugs. Some people say she had to go to a mental facility. But according to Wikipedia, she was in a car accident at the age of 16, and then her personality changed dramatically after that, and then she did have to spend 8 months in a mental institution, okay? Now, that made me kind of feel bad for her. By the way, but that's when she was 16, so she's been like this ever since. And she got her success, even though she was in this mental state, etc. And so when you look at it through that lens, no, she's clearly unbalanced. What is this left, right, Trump's awesome, Israel's terrible, and Israel's awesome, and everybody's like this. None of it makes any sense. So okay, so that's Roseanne, and she's attacked me with great vitriol online, right? Even though I did an interview with her, none of it makes any sense, and it's totally fine. She's unbalanced. There are people that are unbalanced in the world, but what's amazing is the people who followed her and were like, yes, you see, that's a Trump supporter. That's a real American. In fact, that insane Soros tweet that we just read you, Donald Trump Jr. retweeted it. So, but on the other hand, is his dad really that mentally balanced? I think that we're going to find out that a lot of the right wing has literally been following crazy people. Whether it's Roseanne Barr or Alex Jones or Glenn Beck, I think they all literally have mental issues, significant mental issues, let alone Donald Trump.
I feel like real life and American politics specifically is one giant, never-ending episode of The Office, but it's just not funny, right? Where you have a couple people in the office that are functioning properly, and then they're surrounded by a bunch of people who are not functioning properly, and those are the people in power. And it's just not funny. And I had met Roseanne Barr personally several years prior to all of this stuff happening. She wasn't in the limelight. This was after the 2012 election. She was, of course, still a public figure, but no one was paying any attention to her. And she had a studio in Los Angeles. She wanted to have like new shows, do their programming through that studio. And so at the time, I met her there and had a conversation with her. And I felt like she was not all there. And I've never talked about it publicly because I'm not a mental health professional and I just don't feel comfortable talking about those kinds of things in that way. And at that time, since she wasn't in the limelight, why am I gonna run around talking about how I think that she has something going on? But now, through all of this stuff, I've kept quiet about that, and you're right. Based on what you've read and based on what I've experienced personally in having conversations with her, something's not right, but that doesn't change the fact that, ABC made the right move here. This kind of stuff cannot fly. We can't keep normalizing this type of rhetoric. I don't care if it's coming from someone who needs, mental health care, if it's coming from someone who is functioning at a normal rate and just has hatred in their heart and wants to say these terrible things. We can't normalize this type of rhetoric.
Yeah, and I feel bad for everybody else on the show. Now they're all out of jobs, and they had it. It was a top-rated show. They were all going to make so much money. Maybe you don't shed too much of a tear over it, but there was a lot of great people working on that show, real progressives. Wanda Sykes quit as soon as she saw that comment, but she used to work on the show. Whitney Cummings was a big part of the show. Sarah Gilbert EPing the show. It was apologetic about Roseanne's comments. Now they're all out of jobs. She ruined it for everyone. But to me, the most amazing part is that we're in a Black Mirror episode and people are legitimately following people that have lost their minds. And they think, oh man, they nailed it. They really got this thing figured out. You're following literal crazy people.
Let's take a break. We'll be right back.
You're right in the middle of this podcast. We got another great segment coming up for you. If you'd like the full show, which is actually 5 segments, go to tytnetwork.com/join. You become a member, you support the show, you support independent media, and you get the whole 2-hour show ad-free every day. Let's go do it now. All right, back on the Young Turks, Cenk Handano with you. We got to keep on rolling. One of the best stories of the day right now.
Bloomberg did an investigation and found that a reporter for Breitbart had recruited a Bernie Sanders supporter, a black man by the name of Bruce Carter, in order to rally support among the black community for Donald Trump. This is one of the most incredible stories, and it gives you a sense of what went wrong with Democrats in the past election, and more importantly, just how those on the right think and utilize the flaws of the Democrats to their favor. So this all started when Dustin Stockton, who at the time was a Breitbart reporter, reached out to Bruce Carter. Bruce Carter was a huge Bernie Sanders supporter. He was doing canvassing for Bernie Sanders throughout the country. He was selling Bernie Sanders merchandise in order to help fund the trip throughout the country to do all of this supportive work. And then the whole thing with Hillary Clinton, the DNC emails, all of that stuff came out. And Carter became incredibly angry with the Democratic Party. And so Stockton took advantage of that and reached out to him and was like, hey, maybe you need to convince black voters throughout the country that voting for Democrats does not serve their best interests. Maybe they need to either stay home during the election or vote for Donald Trump because, he's thinking outside the box. Now, Carter said the following. He would go around and say, if you can't stomach Trump, just don't vote for the other people and don't vote at all. Okay. And then he recalls telling black voters that. It's the message he says the Trump campaign wanted him to deliver. That's what they wanted. That's what they got.
So there's a lot of interesting stuff here. I saw Black Men for Bernie in their bus, and I think that they were super legit at that point. I think. I'm disheartened to see how easy it was to manipulate them. One of the things that they showed Bruce Carter was this insane movie called Clinton Cash, and they were trying to pass that out during the Republican convention. That's when they gave it to him. Breitbart tried to give that to me, and they're like, oh, you guys should run this on the Young Turks. I was like, yeah, I don't think so. In the garbage, right? No, as much as I couldn't stand Hillary Clinton, you think I'm gonna get manipulated by you into running insane propaganda? Hell no, right? And to me, the most interesting parts are,
at TYT, we frequently talk about all the ways that big tech companies are taking control of our online lives, constantly monitoring us and storing and selling our data. But that doesn't mean we have to let them. It's possible to stay anonymous online and hide your data from the prying eyes of big tech. And one of the best ways is with ExpressVPN. ExpressVPN hides your IP address, making your active ID more difficult to trace and sell to advertisers. ExpressVPN also encrypts 100% of your network data to protect you from eavesdroppers and cyber criminals. And it's also easy to install. A single mouse click protects all your devices. But listen, guys, this is important. ExpressVPN is rated #1 by CNET and Wired magazine. So take back control of your life online and secure your data with a top VPN solution available, ExpressVPN. And if you go to expressvpn.com/TYT, you can get 3 extra months for free with this exclusive link just for TYT fans. That's expressvpn.com/TYT. Check it out today.
how they then incentivized Bruce Carter to do this, how some of the community reacted, and then what they did to him after the election. That's my favorite part.
Yeah, it's pretty terrible. So first, let me give you some information about what Carter did and how successful it was in terms of some of these swing states and convincing the black community to either stay home or vote for Trump. So Trump vastly outperformed the projection models in the 12 areas Bruce was targeting in Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Florida. I never like telling people not to vote, but from a tactical and strategic position, we looked at it. If you could get them to vote for Trump, that was a +2. It was a +1, Dustin Stockton says, if they simply didn't vote at all.
So it's an admission of something that we know, that they try to suppress votes that are not likely to go to them, which, yes, is definitely the black vote, a Latino vote, the young vote. And this goes all the way back to Paul Weyrich, who formed a lot of the conservative organizations. He admitted in his speech in 1980, he said, I don't want everyone to vote. I only want our voters to vote. So this whole idea of the ideal of democracy, they're not interested in that. They're interested in power, raw power. So if they can get a guy like Bruce Carter to go and manipulate people, they're thrilled to do that to get him to stay home. So Hillary Clinton, for example, in Philadelphia, got 35,000 less votes than Barack Obama did. Now, it's not all Bruce Carter. There's a great number of different factors. And yes, those districts were far more African American. And yes, they might have been more motivated to go vote for an African American president who was historic. And Hillary Clinton didn't do a great job of energizing people, and all of that is true. But even if he had a small effect, it still matters and it's important. And Trump didn't win the election by much. And more important than any of that is the intent to deceive you.
Right, the intent to deceive you is the worst part. But look, I think that the root of this issue was the fact that manipulation did happen through the DNC in order to favor Hillary over Bernie. When those emails were leaked, that led to a lot of anger, a lot of frustration among Sanders supporters. And so, sure, you have people like this Breitbart reporter trying to manipulate individuals and exploit their anger to their advantage. But let's not lose sight of what the root of the issue was. And it's something that, unfortunately, a lot of establishment Democrats haven't learned any lessons from, and I'm worried that they're going to make similar mistakes moving forward. Okay, now with that said, let me give you more details on what happened. So Stockton, the Breitbart reporter, and Carter sketched out plans for him to travel to swing states. Carter created a website and launched a GoFundMe campaign that raised about $7,000. On August 26th of 2016, about 10 weeks before the November 2016 elections, Breitbart published Stockton's exclusive about Carter. And also the work Carter says he did, and the funds we'll get back to that in just a second. Sorry, there's some campaign finance laws involved here that could be problematic for Carter. But, he was just convinced, I'm going to go to these swing states. I'm going to talk to black communities in these swing states and let them know, hey, Hillary Clinton referred to you guys as super predators. They're not looking out for you. Maybe it's better to support Trump. Shortly after he did this tour of these swing states, Trump gives that speech where he says he wants to help black communities, and how they have nothing to lose. It seemed like a very orchestrated, concerted effort by those on the right. And to some extent it worked, but of course it's hard to measure how much it worked.
So look, and he was not well received by a lot of people in the community. In Philadelphia, an elderly man threatened to beat him with a cane. It's my favorite part of the story. And in another area that was low-income housing projects, they threw rocks at his bus when it was painted with the, Trump is here to help you kind of logos. Now they're lucky the Israeli Defense Forces weren't in the bus. But Carter is an interesting character. It's amazing what you'll get yourself to believe if there's the right financial motivation. So he does the GoFundMe thing. It raises $7,000. Okay, something, but not much. But here come Republican supporters.
Yes. So first, Carter says, the work I did was not for the campaign, and I didn't do it independently, so I don't think I broke any campaign finance laws. The work Carter says he did and the funds he was given to do it also raised questions as to whether campaign finance laws were broken. Now, that was the analysis by Bloomberg. Let's get into some of the numbers. You mentioned the $7,000 through GoFundMe. If there was coordination, election law dictates that any contributions to groups such as his must fall within individual limits, no more than $2,700 for a candidate. One supporter, though, exceeded that cap, giving about $100,000 to Carter's efforts.
So this is how it works. So you need an African-American guy to fight against other African Americans? Well, hey, I got a $100,000 Republican supporter to just give him the money, okay? And you need Latinos to fight against Latinos. We can give them a Fox News contract. We can give them a Republican donor money. You need women to fight against women. You'll get more money than you know what to do with. So this is this kind of scam that we told you about all along. On the Young Turks, we've been telling you that they've been doing this for a long time. This is just an amazing, clear example because now Carter, after what happened to him after the election, is coming forward and saying, yeah, here's the emails, here's the money they gave me, here's what happened. Now, so this woman, Seal Pillsbury, gives him the $100,000, and he's off to the races, paying himself and the expenses, etc. Then he's going to try to raise money from another Republican donor outside of Dallas, and this guy is Darren Blanton, and he's put in touch with him through Steve Bannon. Now, what does Blanton do? He says, oh yeah, I'm gonna give you a lot of money, man. Way over $100,000. Come this way, keep going. And apparently, according to the emails, he does give him a little bit of money, a little taste, right? And he keeps stringing him along until the election's over, and they go, psych, not gonna give you the money. And then they turn around, and let me give you the quote from this great Bloomberg article. A little more than a week after the election, Carter's financial supporters backed away from plans to work with him on ambitious urban restoration efforts.
And I do want to mention that as well, because in addition to the money, there were a lot of promises being made about helping urban communities. You know, we're going to ensure that, you know, we push for a policy that forgives Black individuals who've been convicted of crimes, just all sorts of empty promises, which of course they didn't deliver on. And as soon as the election happened, they don't want to work with him anymore. And so when the right wing was asked to comment about that, and when Carter himself reached out and was like, what's going on? Why have you guys cut ties with me? Like, oh, we decided to do a criminal background check and found that you were convicted of a felony decades ago, and so we've decided to cut ties.
No, oh my God.
Why didn't you do that background check when you decided to work with him in the first place? Come on.
No. You see what they think of you? They're like, oh yeah, here's a little bit of money, do our bidding. We'll tell you we're gonna do urban restoration. You think Republicans are gonna do urban restoration? And then they went and said, oh no, for all the people wrongly convicted of those drug charges, we're gonna get them out of jail. How could you be so stupid as to believe that? Right? But hey, when there's hundreds of thousands of dollars on the line, all of a sudden somebody get themselves to believe that Trump's here to help Black people. And then after the election, not only do they not pay you the extra that they promised you, then they cut their ties with you, and then they call you a criminal.
That's right.
It turns out what they thought of Black people all along is, hey, you're easy to manipulate, and afterwards super easy to smear. When we call you a criminal, how easy is it going to be to get away with it? And you know what the charge was decades ago? It was a gun charge. Oh, that Republican donor outside of Dallas is really concerned about that you had a gun at one point, right? Well, you're Black, so he probably was concerned you had a gun at one point. So then he comes to find out that they were all empty promises and he wasn't gonna get his money. I don't know what to think of Bruce Carter. I don't know if he's a chump or he liked the money. And if they had kept on giving him money, he'd be on Fox News now, right? Either way, I got no interest in him. But most important is that you know how this game is played. So when you see somebody on TV and they're talking against their own group and telling you sweet little lies about how the Republicans are here to help them, understand this is the shell game they play on you every time.
Yep. All right, let's do one more story before we go to break. A Florida cop is facing a considerable amount of backlash after he thought it would be a great idea to advocate for the death of a survivor of the Parkland shootings. Now, this all came about after some of the survivors and those who want to protest for more gun control decided to do a so-called die-in at public supermarkets. Apparently, public supermarkets had been funding a political candidate in the state of Florida who was also receiving a ton of money from the NRA. And so to send a message to Publix, protesters would go to some of the stores in Florida and do body outlines in chalk in the parking lots in front of the grocery stores. Well, one police officer by the name of Brian Valenti, who works in Coral Springs, wanted to attack David Hogg. And he posted the following on Facebook. He said, hope some old lady loses control of her car in that lot, just saying. And the comment was posted under a picture of Hogg and two other Never Again activists who want more gun control. This is a cop. This is a paid cop. This is a cop who is supposed to protect and serve, saying that he hopes that someone accidentally runs over one of the survivors of the Parkland shooting.
So his commanding officers say that it was a joke and he didn't mean it, but there will be repercussions because you can't joke around about that.
Didn't detail what the repercussions will be.
Yes. We all know it was a joke. I mean, I hope so, that he didn't actually want poor little old lady lose control of her car and run over teenagers and et cetera, et cetera. We get it.
Was it a joke? I don't know if it was a joke.
But you, look, no, I don't think I don't know what his true feelings would be if that actually happened, but I don't think he meant that as like, someone please run them over, I can't wait, right? But at the same time, he's obviously super mad at them for not getting massacred or complaining about the massacre of their friends, having the temerity to say maybe that people shouldn't have guns so they can kill kids in a school. And also, by the way, shoot at cops in other school shootings, right? But you're a cop and you think, wow, yeah, great. Yeah, everybody have guns. It'll be great. It'll work out terrific for me and everyone else. So it's obvious that he's opposed to the kids and he's a cop joking around at a minimum about killing the kids who survived the massacre in that area, right? So, but like the world has gotten so crazy that I even found this to be a mild case.
Oh my God.
There was a TV host who said that he was gonna stick a hot poker in David Hogg's this, that, and other thing. There was another cop in Florida that was reassigned. So that's great.
We have such low standards for cops in America. It's amazing. Like we're so desensitized to them like gunning down 12-year-olds at parks that are playing with toy guns that this is a mild case. You know, and I'm not trying to criticize you, Cenk. This is just a commentary on how low our standards have become for cops, where they can write something about hoping some old lady runs over someone that they disagree with politically, and we're like, oh, yeah, I mean, he didn't shoot and kill some unarmed person, so I guess it's not that bad.
And remember, some extreme right-wingers ran over people in Charlottesville, so you might be particularly sensitive about that joke, but apparently he wasn't. But the other cop that was reassigned had said that all the kids are crisis actors. Okay, well, look, that means that cop is crazy. He's absolutely nuts. He's not joking, etc. Saying that the kids are paid actors, that means you've got a lunatic on the force. And in that case, they're like, oh, well, good, then we don't want him in this community. Let's reassign him to another community where he'll be a lunatic there.
Yeah, problem solved. It happens all the time.
So to me, that guy is way worse, let alone all the cops who've actually shot unarmed people, and on it goes. So when I see this, you're right, I've become desensitized. I'm like, oh, he's only joking about killing kids who survived a massacre.
Yeah, I always find it pretty amazing that David Hogg, bears most of the hatred, vitriol, all of that stuff. And I think it's because they look at him and think he should be like us. He's the type of guy, young man, who should agree with everything we believe. He should be pro-gun, pro everything we believe. And since he's speaking out against something that we love, we're gonna attack him in the most vicious ways imaginable.
I just think that they attack no matter what. They only have 1 year, right?
I know, but there's so many Parkland students who have been speaking out, and David Hogg, Emma Gonzalez as well.
No, but yeah, that's what I was gonna say. They despise Emma Gonzalez, and she's Latina, right? And so, no, if you're not one of them, they hate you. If you're one of them, but you don't agree with them, they hate you. Because they don't care about facts, they care about their feelings. Unfortunately, their feelings are fear and hatred.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we got to take a break. When we come back, more exciting news for you guys. How's that for a tease? Be right back. Thanks for watching or listening to this free version of the Young Turks podcast. You know that the full show is at tytnetwork.com/join. If you become a member, you get the full show ad-free. We love you for watching or listening either way. There's going to be a new free podcast tomorrow. You can keep on doing that. But if you want to get the full show ad-free, tytnetwork.com/join. Thanks for listening to the full episode of The Young Turks. Support our work, listen ad-free, access members-only bonus content, and more by subscribing to Apple Podcasts at apple.co/TYT. I'm your host, Cenk Uygur, and I'll see you soon.